It was supposed to be a simple weekend getaway. Four friends, Lena, Marcus, Sam, and Bree, piled into an old SUV aiming for a remote cabin that Marcus's uncle owned. No cell service, no distractions, just trees, a lake, and the promise of a much-needed escape. The trouble started when the GPS cut out, leaving them on a narrow dirt road surrounded by endless forest. After a half hour of wrong turns, they stopped to check an old map Lena found in the glove compartment. That's when they noticed it. A smaller, almost invisible path branching off the main road, covered in overgrown vines and dead leaves. "Shortcut," Sam joked, but his grin faded when he noticed the others staring at a wooden sign half buried in moss. "Cold Water Grove," it read, the letters cracked and fading. No one remembered seeing that name on the map. Against their better judgment, they took the path. The trees seemed to huddle closer as they drove, branches clawing at the windows. Sunlight dimmed to a sickly amber, and the air grew thick and damp, smelling of rot and wet earth. The road narrowed until it was barely wide enough for the SUV. When they rounded a bend, the path ended abruptly in front of an old house, leaning and forgotten, its windows dark and yawning. The kind of place that seemed to absorb sound. "Let's just turn around," Bree muttered, eyes fixed on the house. But when Marcus tried to reverse, the engine sputtered and died. No signal, no way back. They had no choice but to approach the house. The porch creaked under their feet, the door swung open at the lightest touch, revealing a hallway draped in shadows. Wallpaper peeled like dead skin, and the floorboards groaned with every step. Sam snorted, trying to lighten the mood. "It's just an old house, guys." But even he spoke in a whisper, as if afraid to be heard. They moved room to room, finding little besides dust and silence, until Lena pushed open a door at the end of the hall. Inside was a small bedroom, its bed neatly made, a music box sitting on the dresser. She hesitated, then turned the crank. A lullaby tinkled out, slow and warped. That's when they heard it. Faint footsteps upstairs, too heavy to be a settling house. No one moved. The footsteps crept down the hall above, deliberate, unhurried, then stopped directly overhead. The air was frigid now, each breath clouding white. Marcus stepped back and his foot hit something soft. He looked down to see a stuffed bear, its button eyes dull. Only the bear wasn't dusty like everything else. It was clean, fresh. The door slammed, trapping them in darkness. Lena screamed, fumbling for her phone light, its beam flickering weakly. For a heartbeat, it caught something standing in the corner. Tall, wrong, its limbs too long, head tilted with empty eyes. The light died. They bolted, crashing through the door, down the stairs, out into the choking night air. The SUV's headlights blinked on without warning, engine roaring to life. No one questioned it. They piled in, tires spinning, gravel spitting as they fled down the path. Only when they reached the main road did they dare to breathe. Hours later, at the cabin, they didn't talk about what they'd seen. Didn't talk about the figure in the corner, or the muddy handprint smeared across the SUV's rear window, small and childlike. But in the silence, they all heard it. The faint, broken notes of a lullaby, playing from somewhere deep in the trees.